Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we rejoin the character generation process for my solo classic RuneQuest campaign. This will be, I guarantee, the last episode that we have to perform the ongoing character generation process. I'm aware that I have already taken 3 videos of your precious time getting to this stage. We have developed some quite interesting backstories for our 5 intrepid adventurers. Already we have quite an interesting party shaping up, and I'm hoping just to really basically top and tail this process with some final stages, basically drawing on the bare bones that are in Appendix H, I believe, in the RuneQuest book, the classic RuneQuest book, which I will just get to and refer to first. I've always been quite intrigued by this particular section. I thought it had a lot of potential, and what I've tried to do is really just draw on this and add on my my own kind of spin-offs and overlays to give it a bit more flavor and background, and almost I've almost given it a bit of a kind of traveler feel to basically try to bring a bit of service history in, so that we've got our main services almost. It's not really traveler, but it's got a bit of that kind of vibe in it, and there are a few things that we can do, certainly on the kind of the narrative side, where we can draw out some things from the basic core professions of barbarian, militia, mercenary, noble, and apprentice, and also there's a lot of detail about the actual the mechanics of what particular skills and whatever we develop. I'll be doing all of that offline, and I'll be producing some character sheets, and I'll be using the classic Mark IV character sheet. And I have been thinking about games that are quite complicated in terms of character development, and just what I should be doing in for those particular role-playing games when I am presenting them as a solo campaign. And I thought, well, I think RuneQuest maybe just pushes the limit to the extreme. It is quite a complicated character process. The particular individual character sheet is quite complex. There's a lot to do. So I think maybe this might be one of the last games that I will have like a multi-group party. I think for some of the other ones that I've identified in my tranches of games to play, particularly games like Aftermath and Space Opera and Chivalry and Sorcery, which really are quite intensive when it comes to the character generation, I've thought of going down the line of either creating either 1 or 2 key player characters, and then if there are any additional individuals required, they'll be almost like their associates, and I won't go into as much detail with them, and have them as a kind of like the sort of almost like junior actors, and we'll have our main actors, our kind of characters, that I can focus on, and we'll be thinking of their development, but they'll be part of a party, but not have everybody fleshed out to this kind of level of detail. And also maybe I'd have to think about the Merc one as well, whether does that push a limit too. It's got a complicated character sheet too, and it might be nice just to maybe just focus on one individual. Again, I've just got to have a think about it. I think, as I say, I think I've maybe reached almost the natural limit, because I know when it came to my D&D games, both my AD&D and my D&D games, although the character generation process is quite involved, it doesn't really involve a massive overhead in terms of administration and detailing the characters' either abilities or skills and whatever. Whereas, looking at this particular thing in the RuneQuest, we've got, for each character, we are going to have to do... here's the Mark IV. So, we've got all the individual skills that we have to list, we've got all the individual weapons, and we have all the individual you know, things like their hit location and all the bits of armor. So it's a lot busier when it comes to individual. I'm not saying it's impossible, it just makes it more difficult to maybe visualize. Whereas you've got some of my other games where you basically can fit them on 1 or 2 sheets and they're there in front of you. Okay, so that's just me going on about just, you know, feeling sorry for myself and the administrative burden that I have to face. But you know, I like juggling lots of characters, and I like getting embedded in them. So I might relent. I might in the end end up with a couple of 2 or 3 space opera characters, or you know, my goodness, maybe even a party of 3 CNS characters. Ooh. Right, so back to the topic in hand. Now, what we have to do for our characters is we have to do a determination of profession and vocation. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to get my dice ready, prime them, ready for action. So let's just start with our first character, Barntar. He's a poor noble. That's his background. So if we look at the sheet, noble, they may try to join the mercenaries and it's 0-1 to 70, or they can go for a noble background. So let's just do it. Let's just see what Barntar's all about. Oh, just knock that out of the way. Let's see what Barntar's all about. Get his percentages going. There we go. So anything above 70, so that is 15. So he is going to try the mercenaries. Now the way to get into the mercenaries is that mercenaries is, I thought maybe I have the formula here, but no, I have to go back to the book. So in the book, in Appendix H, I thought I actually took the actual calculation out. Now this was something that was omitted in, certainly in the version that I've got, the original version too, but for something, you know, nicely it must have been remedied and realised. In fact, I think it's mentioned in some of these worm footnotes things. Where was it? Yeah, it said on the subject of previous experience. Yeah, Greg Stafford rewrote my original draft. In the process, he dropped the necessary role to become a mercenary. So the necessary role to become a mercenary is now in here, and it's on footnote 6. And it says, for characters to join the mercenaries, which also can be understood to be the national army of his nation, the player must roll the character's total characteristics or less on D100. Okay, so we've got to total his characteristics and roll that on a D100. And I'm sure this is where, yes, for a mercenary company, characteristics totaled, here we go, characteristics totaled as a percentage, nobles at 5%. So let's get the calculator out and do the quick calculation. So we've got 11 plus 11 plus 15 plus 10 plus 11 plus 13 plus 11 equals 82, and we're going to add 5 on. So that's 87. Very strong chance that we are going to be a mercenary. So, ooh, wow. We are not going to be a mercenary. Okay, so that changes the game plan on Barntar. We've had a resounding no, he is not a mercenary. So that means that we fall back on what is called the noble profession. He is going to be brought up a poor noble. So I have to bring out, now this is something that wasn't brought forward from the first edition of RuneQuest. There was a separate previous experience category called noble. And I've decided, because I like doing these sort of things, to reinstate that into my second edition. And I've got this for nobles, and we're not going to have rich nobles. I've already said I don't want the rich nobles in our campaign, but I think poor nobles are just a perfect pool of resource for us to draw adventurers from. You know, just the type of people that our adventurers would be. And I've decided to reinstate it. So poor nobles who cannot join a mercenary company, so this is what Barntar is, should total up their funds for the period of previous experience and buy skills and spells as they wish, using any guild credit that they can get as well. So I'll be able to do this offline. I'll be able to say that he is 18, so he's going to have 2 years of previous experience, and the funds that he gets for being a noble, a pure noble, which I think is die 100 times 5. We could maybe just do that on camera, just so that you can see the kind of money I've got to play with. So let's just see. It's got here on. This will get me on my toes with how I know where all the rules are. Here we go. Background table. Per noble is D100 times 5 per game year. So let's just work out what are the available funds for me. Maybe if we could have got that 100 now, that would have been quite good. So we have, oh, that's good. That's 91. So 91 times 5 is 455 to play with. So I'll make a note of that. 455 gold. That's what we've got to spend every year on Barntar skills and spells. In addition to whatever the character may buy with this amount, he will have the following abilities as part of his station. So I've got weapon training. I've got characters must meet the strength and dexterity requirements or no training, and roll 1 die 6 for each weapon and +1 per year below 21 years of experience. And these are the weapons that we have access to: broadsword, two-handed spear as lance, and a medium shield. And based on the number of years of experience below 21, we roll a 1d6. So if it's in this case, it's going to be 1d6 plus 3 that we will be rolling, and that will be generating what our natural ability is, and the minimum that we add is +10. So there's going to be a lot of skills that are going to be way down in the low pluses. And then it's also magic use, I'll say, for each year below 21, reduce spells by 1 point. And then we've got healing 2, glamour, disruption, and counter magic. So again, I'm going to be reducing that by 3 points. So we'll have access to maybe do healing 1 and maybe have glamour and disruption. Let's see. Okay, so that is basically the story with him. And then in addition to whatever the character may buy with this amount, he will have the following abilities as part of his station. That's what I've just detailed. Okay, so I'm just going to have to say previous experience, he's going to be a noble. And what I plan to do, I'll select everybody first and get that out the way, and then I'll go into their individual service lives. So Orstan, he's a barbarian. He is already, he could try to join the mercenaries, or he's just going to settle for his tribal background. So let's just see what he does. Does he decide to go into civilization and become a mercenary? No, he's a 49, so he's in his barbarians. So he'll be a foot barbarian. So we'll put foot barbarian. And then, oh, I've got it mixed up. That was our dwarf. Olvar is the foot barbarian. Yeah. Let's just a quick correction. I was going too much of a headlong rush. I forgot that Orstan is our dwarf, and our dwarf is what we call an exotic, and they may try to join the mercenaries 01 to 20, or we follow their cultural background, and I use the monster section in the rules to adjust what their skills are. So let's see what he's going to be. He's a 43, so he's going to use his cultural. So when it comes to Orstan, I'll show you what I mean by that. Cultural. And then Varlon, our Selenic peasant. Now, on a peasant, they may try to join the mercenaries, 01 to 25, may try to apprentice themselves to thieves, players, or foresters, 26 to 75, and must join the militia, anything above that. So let's see what he does. He's an 85, so he's going to join our militia. He's in the militia. He goes straight into the militia. maybe he's just like a peasant farmer, and that's the only option that he's got. So that's what he's been lined up for. And then our final, our mounted barbarian, Serana. And again, she can do the mercenary tribal background split. So 25 and below, she's a mercenary. We haven't got a mercenary, so we're just going to have another barbarian. So she is a horse or a mounted barbarian. Okay. Right. That's that stage done. We move past the specifics on my noble character, and let's get to what is called, first of all, there's increase in characteristics that we can do, and then we can move on to what is known as my service history, and that's where we draw out some events during the service history that the characters have experienced as they have progressed through their professions. So in the first instance, let's not bother with increasing characteristics. I'd quite like to get stuck into the service history right now. And if we have time at the end of the session, I'll do the increasing characteristics. That tends to be a bit more of a bookkeeping thing. And you know, it might not be quite as entertaining to watch. I think this is really kind of the main event, you know, no pun intended, is to actually go through the service history. So the way the service history is laid out. The service history is explored in order to introduce a narrative to build up character. Now, this is probably more their actual, you know, their previous life up to the adventuring and how they've actually spent their time. We can assume that the character is accruing valuable skills and abilities from performing their tasks, and this is calculated as the proportion of the full 5-year service values based on the numbers of years training. And that's the thing that I'll be doing offline for each character. I'll be going into Appendix H and assessing how far through those skills each of those characters are, and then giving them the proper amount and value based on that length of service. But in the meantime, the service life events table is checked per year and will determine the level of activity for the character during that year. And I have 3 bands. I have the uneventful, the eventful, and the exceptional. And then the resultant event represents the most prominent or time-consuming or involved task of the character during the course of the year. So whatever comes up here, that's what's taken up most of his year or has been the highlight of his year. And then characters with a dual vocation, such as an apprentice militia, we don't actually have one of them, roll for both each year with a maximum of 1 major event per vocation. So that's not really applicable. So what I plan to do is really just get started. We'll go for Barntar first. He's a noble. Now he's 18, so he's going to have 2 rolls on this. So let's do our first year and find out what is the event that he experiences. So in the first year, he gets a 94. Oh my goodness. Which is, he's really gone off with a bang. He's in what's called exceptional, and you roll twice on the major events table. So it's not even a minor event. He's straight in at the deep end. Let's find out. So I'll have to get out my major events table for noble, and what I've got here in my rules, my add-ons, are events tables for each group, each vocation. So there's mercenary minor events. So I have all my minor events at the front, and then I start going into major events. I've got barbarian, mercenary, militia major event, thieves guild, foresters guild, and here we go, nobles major event. So we'll get to nobles a major event, and we get the joy of rolling twice on this. Now I must admit, I must tell you that there is no life knife affecting events on here. That's not going to change any characteristics. It's really just going to give us a bit of flavor. So in year 1, 2, so what does Barn Tower do? His first major event. Representing the family, he's sent as a junior envoy to a neighboring lord's court, a trade negotiation, or a distant relative's household. So what's it going to be? Make a quick note. It's number 1, a neighboring lord's court. So I'll put 2. It's a major and it's court. So that's what we've got down here. In fact, that should actually be under service history. I've just got it in the wrong line. Court. Get my eraser out for that one. Okay, and then we roll for a another. So what's that going to be? Get a 10-sided dice out again. So that was quite an interesting little assignment for him in his first year. And then 9, inheritance, challenge, or dispute. Discover a challenge to your family's inheritance, a disputed claim on a property, or a rival noble attempting to undermine your family's standing. Ooh, you defend your family's rights. Very well done, Barn Tower. Let's see which one it is that we have to deal with. It's the last one. So it is a rival noble attempting to undermine the family's standing. Oh dear. So that's not too clever, is it? So that is a major, and it is a rival noble. Okay. So that's Barn Tower's first year. Wow. Okay, let's get back to our little table again and find out what the story is on the second year that he is being a noble before he starts his adventuring. So we'll get our percentage dice out again. Let's see what it is. We get a 26. And a 26 is eventful, so we just roll once on that major events table. So we've got year 1, and year 2. Let's see what we get with a D10. We got a 4 this time. So 4 on the noble events table is challenging a local authority or tradition. Identify an unjust law, a corrupt official, or an outdated tradition within your family's domain or a neighboring one, and choose to challenge it. Wow, he really is getting stuck in these first couple of years. He's doing everything a kind of noble does. He hasn't even done any minor stuff. He's just been getting stuck into all the meaty assignments. So it's identify an unjust law, a corrupt official, or an outdated tradition. So we'll do our classic 1 to 3, see what it is. It's a 4, so it's the second one. It is a corrupt official. Oh, naughty. So that is 4. It's a major, and it's a corrupt official. So already, Barn Tower's had quite a busy 2 years before he even lifts the adventuring sword and goes out to strike a new life. Maybe that's one of the reasons he's left. It's far too busy. There's too much going on. Maybe he just wants a bit more of an easy life being an adventurer. Okay, let's move on to... now, I can't do Orstan because I don't have a cultural table for him, so I'm not planning to do that. I might just come up with some sort of high-level summary for Orstan. Maybe have a little mini table and do a kind of special on him. So I can't really do that. If he'd been a mercenary, it would have been a different story. I could have done a mercenary life. So let's move on to Ulvar. Now, Ulvar is a barbarian. So he gets on the barbarian table that I have to try and find out. And also Alva has got quite a lot going on. He's got year 1, he's got year 2, he's got year 3, and he's got year 4. So he's going to have a role for each year. So he's the most experienced out of the lot. He's got the most that's happening in his previous life. He is the eldest, or the oldest out of 5. So in his first year, it is a 94. He's got 2. I don't believe it. That's 2 exceptionals. Roll twice on the major events table. So it really is happening for these guys. He would have thought. So I've got a similar table, got a major events table, Barbarian. So let's find out what happens in Ulvar's first year. Now remember, he's got a bit of a shady background. 10, active leadership. In a moment of crisis or opportunity, you step forward and make a crucial decision that benefits the immediate group, even if it's only a small hunting party. So it could be like a larger group. It doesn't have to be. It's only a small hunting party. I'm just giving that maybe as an example. But bravo, well done, active leadership. That's a 10 and a major. So what else we got? We've got another one that year. We've still got another 3 years to go, my goodness. And an 8. It's what is known as a disputed claim. Involved in a dispute over resources, honor, or territory within tribe or with another group, potentially leading to a challenge or a tense negotiation. So I'll say 1 to 3. We'll do the first one with the red dice and the second one with the black. So the first one is a 1 and the second one is a 1. So that means disputed claim. It's resources, and it's with another group. So we're fighting over resources. So that is an 8. It's an M. It's resources, and it's other group. So we've had a bit of a square off. Maybe a bit of fighting going on, doing that barbarian stuff. So he's had quite a bit of action in his first year. His second year, we'll get the percentage dice out for that. Let's see what the story is. It is a 53. 53 means eventful, so we get 1 on the roll. So let's find out what he does in his second year. It is a 3. 3 is defending the home. Tribal lands or settlement come under threat and must fight fiercely to protect people and territory. So that is pretty straightforward. So that's a 3. That's a major. So nothing minor so far. I haven't been able to show off my little minor tables. That's much less options on them, and it's a bit boring. This is far more exciting. In our third year, we're getting through the years. He's now up to 19. An 85. That's two major events. Oh no, I don't believe it. Here we go. First one. It is a 5. That is a feud or alliance. Tribe engages in a tense standoff or a full-blown feud with a neighboring group, or conversely forms a temporary alliance for a specific goal. So what is it? Is it a feud or an alliance? An alliance might be nice. Yes, it is. It's an alliance. So there is maybe a bit of a standoff, and then they decide to come to an alliance. So that's good for. Maybe he was involved in the negotiations, major, and alliance. Okay, good. And the second one, we've got a D10 out for that. It's a 2. All right, okay. He has, number 2, he has his first significant kill. He participates in a hunt that brings down a particularly dangerous animal or achieves first significant kill in a skirmish against an enemy. So is it human or animal? 1 to 3, it's animal. Yes, it is. It's a big, maybe it's a big lion or something enormous and horrible. So that's a 2. It's a major, and it's an animal. We'll have to come up with something exotic. So it's dangerous, it's pretty nasty, and he has been responsible for killing it. So he's not really going to please the environmental lobby, but bravo, Alvar, I suppose, if you're into that kind of thing. And then his last year, we'll get the percentage dice out again and find out, is this going to be slightly less eventful? He's winding down. Well, it's just one major event this time. So let's, we're kind of almost running out of major events that you can, maybe we're going to get into the repeat. Oh, here's a new one. He hasn't done this one before. A harsh wilderness test. Face a survival challenge alone in the wild. Perhaps lost in the storm, injured, or stalked by a dangerous beast. My goodness. So maybe that's what's happened. He's been out, he's been alone, hunting alone. Never hunt alone. That's what he's been doing. Maybe he hasn't got any friends left because he's a bit dishonest and he's been a bit found out. And maybe he's got lost, he's got injured, and he's being stalked by this dangerous beast. I can just see it now. Okay, great. So that's the last one. That's a major. And we don't actually, that is the story. It's just number one. Okay, good. So we've done Ilvar, we've done Barntar. Let's get on to Varlorn. He's got 2 on his little service history, so I'll do 1 and 2. So let's find out how many he gets. Now remember, he's a militia, so they're a bit more staid in what they do. But let's find out. We get 71, so that's 2. Sorry, that's 1. So I need to find my militia table. I've got mercenary. Here we go, militia, major events. Let's find out what is the first one on the stocks for him. It is a 1, okay. Responding to a local incident. He's called upon to break up a brawl, investigate a minor theft, or deal with a public disturbance within the community. So what's it going to be? One of those 3. He had to deal with a public disturbance within the community. So it's kind of like instant response unit. It's kind of like the police coming in. He's part of the control force. He's doing his law and order bit. It is 1, and it's major, and it's a disturbance. Yeah, public disturbance. Disturb. Okay. And then his second year, let's find out what happens in his second year. It is a 33, so again, that's 1. So we're going to have 1 D10. It's a 2. He has to face his militia and major event. An unexpected threat. A sudden localized threat emerges. Perhaps a group of aggressive monsters, a rogue spirit, or a small band of raiders, forcing the militia into real action. So on the basis that they're not really involved in real action, that's almost like a bit of a criticism. I would take that the wrong way. You know, maybe Varlorn is going, that's not fair. We try our best. And so it is a 1. It's an aggressive monster. A group of aggressive monsters. Maybe brews or something awful and unexpected. Forcing the militia into real action. Get your finger out, lads. So, oh dear. So that really maybe got him involved in some stuff in his second year. So that was a monster. Okay, so that's Varlorn done. And then our last and not least, we've got Serana. She is going to be 2 years as well. So we'll have 1 and 2. So she's on the barbarian table, but let's find out just exactly what does she experience. Let's see. Let's hope that we can get something which is a minor, because then I can show off one of my tables there. It's not. It's a 43, so that means she has 1 major event that we roll for. So let's get our die 10 here. Maybe see if she get the same type of thing as Olva. So 1 is always the harsh wilderness test. She faces a survival challenge alone in the wild. She's lost in a storm, or maybe she's injured or stalked by a dangerous beast. Let's do a little thing to see exactly what it is. Let's have a bit of differentiation with Olvar. So she's the first. She's lost in the storm. She gets lost. Oh, poor old Serana. So that is a 1, and it's major, and she gets lost. but she obviously finds her way back because she's here to tell the tale. Good on her. Then maybe that's kind of made her kind of stronger and better prepared. You know, she is a bit of a loner. She's independent. You know, maybe that really helped her. You know, just not lose it out there. You know, keep with the program. And then our final year of Serana. Let's find out what she's been up to. 77. That's just one. So we'll get our major events table out and apply this, and that's a 10. So, all right, so she gets the active leadership. In a moment of crisis or opportunity, she steps forward and makes a critical decision that benefits the immediate group. So again, she does something quite brave and you know, quite extraordinary, and also very favorably in the light of her tribe. It's an act of leadership, so well done. Okay, so that is 10, and we don't have to put any further story on that. Okay, so that really was just a little bit of an exercise, just to kind of give a bit of flavour to their backgrounds. You know, Ovo's got quite a rich one. He's been doing all sorts of stuff, and that's really often down to the fact that they're just been longer in their service or their vocation or their profession, whatever name you want to give to it. But you know, if I kind of weave these into like a little kind of mini, I'll have like a mini paragraph for each, which will hopefully sum up all these different, the traits, the religion, the previous experience, their service history, and maybe pull out some of the main points that I can just give a little summary at the start of next session. I think that'll be quite a useful thing. And you'll be glad to know that we have reached the end of the character design process. On, you know, just as an interest thing, and to show you that I did actually do this. I had some minor events. If we'd had a minor event, it would have been one of these. Yeah, here we go. For the barbarian, I just had 5 options, so I'd roll a d5 and I'd just divide by 2. I couldn't come up with too many. Things like leading scouting parties for the barbarian, advanced hunting and trapping, so setting more complex traps for larger game, participating in advanced hunting techniques, that type of stuff. Resource management and foraging expeditions, border patrol and deterrence, learning tribal lore and oral history. And then the mercenary, we never touched on the mercenaries. Now the mercenaries is probably one of the key ones, and it's one of the feeders of the adventure. Anyway, it's almost like a feeder institution that will spit out adventurers at the end. And you know, strangely, we didn't get any. You know, it was interesting that our nobleman, you know, he should have really have got it. We haven't really got another kind of representative, you know, like a townsman and stuff that would maybe go into it. You know, that was strange, but there you go. So you know, things like squad tactical drills, procurement, sentries, being a sentry, dealing with logistics, you know, kind of back office type things. And if we'd had the militia, it would have just been like you know, organizing community watch, you know, scheduling and overseeing the nightly or weekly civilian watch rotations, ensuring proper coverage, training new volunteers, and addressing minor issues that arise. It's not exactly kind of like, you know, setting the world on fire. So maybe it was a good thing that we didn't get any of these. You know, it might have just been a step too far. Okay, so I see that we're actually doing pretty well. The only thing I can maybe start doing is the characteristic adjustments. But if I'd maybe just allude to this and actually just do this off camera, because I don't really think it's got enough. You know, this is me talking, saying it doesn't have enough entertainment value. So you know, it must be considered to be a bit boring. And that would be the increase in characteristics. Now, what it refers to in the rules is this particular section in Appendix H, which is quite tantalizing, because when you think of it, characteristics are the key things. Apart from skills, are one of the key things that you want to increase. So this gives us a bit of a free lunch on increasing our characteristics. And there's a little table at the start of the previous experience that says, for any of these characteristics, strength, constitution, dex, power, and charisma, we can increase them by either 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. So we do that for each character, for each of their statistics. So shall we just try one out and just see how we go? Let's do that. Why not do it for Barntar? We'll do it for Barntar first. Now he's been 2 years. So according to my little table, I have to reduce all the scores if he's aged 18 by 3d6%. And this will be applied to all scores. So if I get my 3d6 out, and we'll see what his reduction is. So in every roll, I'm going to reduce by 11. Okay. So let's just have a wee shot and see, as they say in Scotland, a wee shot, and let's see what we get. I was going to say, as we say in Scotland, you probably wouldn't have understood that one. A wee shot, and see what we get for Barntar, for his characteristics. So if I start with strength, and it's a minus 11 to this, so that's 61 minus 11 isn't going to be enough. Now remember, I have to get, in fact, what is the threshold? If we just do the calculation, it's 25 minus 11. So we have to get 14 or less to get anything for him. So the first one, strength, he has nothing. Our second one is constitution, nothing, 91. Our third one is dexterity, nothing. Our fourth one is power, nothing. And our fifth one, sorry, is charisma, nothing. So that is a kind of example of what would happen. Now the only one that has got a potential is probably Ulvar to get anything, and all he has is a reduction of, he's 20 minus 1d6. So let's just see whether we, it's maybe worthwhile just checking for Ulvar whether he gets anything. So he's going to get minus 6 to everything. So let's find out for what happens with his strength. So that is 10 minus 6 is 4. So, so his strength, 10 minus 6 is 4, and 0, 4 to 10, character increased by 2. So his strength goes up by 2. Yeah, nice one. Okay, so let's have a +2 on strength. Excellent. So that's pretty good news. Yeah, we like that. So that means he's going to have a strength of 15, 17. Very good. Excellent. Nice one, Barntar. He is strong now. Or maybe has that already been factored in, that +4? Yeah, I think we had to bring that up. So I think he's got a strength of 13 now. Yeah, I think I'm just misreading that. So I've put that as an additional one on top. So that's how that's working. And let's see whether we can get something on constitution for him. Nope. On dexterity, do we get anything? Nope. On power, do we get anything? Nope. And finally on charisma, 70. Nope. So Ulvar has had, I've gone the wrong way. I've gone to Barntar, haven't I? I'm getting things a bit mixed up. Maybe I've been doing too many rules and videos. Maybe need to slow down. What do they say about quality and quantity? The Russians do say that quantity has its own form of quality, but I don't think I'm demonstrating it today That goes up to 12. So Ulvar, he gets a good strength boost. It wasn't Barntar. It's not to be for Barntar, unfortunately. He's had everything. And I've only got 2 left to go. What I plan, I'll tell you what, I will actually do them offline, because I don't really want to encumber you with any further die rolls. I think you've probably seen enough. But hopefully, overall, from end to end, and using this worksheet, we've come to kind of know some of these characters a bit. They've got a bit of depth. They've got a bit of substance. There's a bit of backstory to them. You know, we've got almost up to in some cases 4 years of history after they became 16. I do like the idea that the characters have slightly evolved, and they're not just sort of basically people drawn off the street or straight from almost like their school or apprenticeship or whatever. And I know I have mentioned in the past that people in these societies probably do grow up quicker, and they're far more mature by the time they're 16. But there's just something, I just intrinsically think that an 18-year-old plus is probably a bit more of a tenable concept out in this awful world that has got all these monsters and all sorts of terrible things running around. And the civilizations that we're coming up against, you know, they really are quite brutal. So you're going to have to be quite a hardened character and have a bit of life experience. And I think through all these things here, and showing what their traits are, what their religious convictions are, how they believe in things, and their previous experience, and they've had these little mini game where we've been able to draw out some interesting little stories. Maybe not all the time that I could have done on that, and maybe give them a bit more of a kind of narrative. But hopefully you've been able to see that's the sort of thing that you can do just through having some extra tables on top. I did a very similar exercise with my traveller characters. You know, we went through each of their service careers with almost like a little mini story. And I've seen that type of thing done on YouTube before, and I really like the model. And I was trying to do the same kind of thing en masse for RuneQuest. Yeah, I've never really seen it done before. So hopefully you've liked what you've seen. And it generated a wee bit of fun. You know, certainly Ulvar had a lot going on. Even Barntar in the end, he had an awful lot happening. And it was interesting to see what's around it, getting lost and then suddenly coming good. You know, and even Varlorn, he's been up to stuff. You know, he's been doing his malicious stuff. You know, he may be a bit of offended by people kind of saying, "Oh, come on, get your finger out," that sort of stuff. But yeah, all good stuff. Right, so next episode we're going to be on to according to my little stage plan. We are involved in characters and setting in stage 1. So I would say that the character party generation we have basically done, and it's over to me to do all the kind of paperwork and administration and work out exactly what their skills are based on their previous experience. I'll have all that ready and I can show you. And then the campaign setting will be the next thing we look at. Place the characters in a setting, a settlement and a tavern. And I'll be able to design that with you with the characters in mind as soon as we kick off our next episode. So looking forward to that, and that should be quite good fun. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.